Hello fellow fantasy readers, I hope you're all doing well. I just wanted to hop on and talk to you about my February TBR. Now I know we're not quite at the end of January yet, but I am very lucky because I'm going away on holiday in February. So I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks, so I wanted to get this filmed and out to you before I go. I'm really excited because I'm actually going somewhere where there's going to be sunlight, because here in the UK recently we really haven't had a lot of that if you're from the UK and you understand my pain. But today I'm actually making the most of the fact that we actually do have sunlight and it's not a constant day's death. So I feel very privileged at the moment to have some sunlight to be able to film in. But I am going on holiday, so I'm hoping to get lots and lots of time to get some really decent reading in, so I'm really excited. So I wanted to talk to you about my February TBR. I've got a really exciting February TBR lined up. I've got a couple of books that are to do with clubs that I'm in, and also a couple of personal TBR list reads that I've also got. So the first book that I will be reading is from a book club. So it's the Spaced Out Reads book club on Fable that I'm part of. Epic club. You need to get on it if you're not in it. The book that we'll be reading in February is a book called Silence is Silver. It's actually a novella by Andrew Watson, a fellow sort of booktuber. You probably all know who he is because he's incredible. It's his prequel novella to his series and it's called Silence is Silver. But I'm really excited. I've downloaded this on my Kindle, ready to take with me on the plane. I'm really excited to read it. It's a prequel novella to his other two books, which are called Harbinger of Justice, and I just received his arc for his second book that has just come out as well, which is The Black Mantle, which I'm really excited to get to. So I'm actually hoping that I might be able to get to all three within the next couple of months, which is really exciting. But I'll be reading the prequel novella Silence is Silver in February as part of my Spaced Out Reads book club read. And then I also have my own in-person book club. We meet up in my local area and we've got two books that we will be reading. So firstly, we are going to be reading Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. I don't know anything about this in terms of, I don't really know anything about Matthew McConaughey apart from the fact that I've seen him in some really good films. I've heard that this is a really good sort of autobiography mixed with not sort of self-help, but maybe a little bit of philosophy. I've heard that they're from Chris and Mads on their channel, that I think they've read this, or Chris has read it, and she absolutely adored it. She said that it was not only a really great autobiography, but also it contained lots of sort of little really helpful nuggets of information from Matthew McConaughey's brain and how he thinks and how he sees the world. And apparently they were really insightful and just really heartwarming as well. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think we need something like this in my book club because we've read quite a few heavy hitting emotional books recently in my book club. So I felt like we needed something a bit more, you know, positive and uplifting. So we're going to be reading Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. Not very fantasy-esque, but hey, you know, we like to shake it up. We'll also be reading this, which is The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. I believe this is book one in a trilogy, but I'm not certain. I believe this is a Greek retelling told from the point of view of the women. I don't know anything about the actual myth that is being spoken about in this book. I've decided not to read it. There, of course, is the blurb on the back. I've actually decided to ignore it because I kind of want to go in completely blind. I have read a few other Greek retellings. I've read things like Ariadne, and I've also read things like Song of Achilles and things like that. So I'm really, really excited to read this. I think it'll be really interesting to have the perspective of the women in the story being at the sort of centre of it. And I've heard excellent things about this book, and I believe the second book in the series, and maybe even the third, from the Brothers Gwyn and their channel. So I'm really excited for this, and the people in my book club are hopefully really looking forward to it as well. So we've got that. So a bit of a Greek retelling, a bit of historical rather than fantasy. And then we have got a buddy read that I'm doing with my incredible friend Alex, Nightshade Journal, on Instagram. She's amazing. We are going to be buddy reading Royal Assassin, which is book 2 in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. We buddy read book 1, Assassin's Apprentice, last year, and we finally got round to reading book 2. We had really busy TBRs with other books going on. It's taken us a little while to get to it, but I'm so excited to get back into this world because Robin's writing was just stunning, and I'm really excited to see what happens. Also, I feel like we're really building up to something, and I can't wait to see. This is often described as people's sort of favourite book in that series in terms of the Farseer trilogy. It's an absolute chunker, so I think it might take me a little while, but I just can't wait to get to this. Really looking forward to getting back into this world. So yeah, we've got Royal Assassin. And then my final February TBR sort of priority is Actually, if I can read more than this, then brilliant, but I'd like to start the first small trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, starting with The Blade itself. This is described as grimdark fantasy at its finest. Apparently it's got incredible, dark, witty, sarcastic humour, which is right up my alley. I love that. But I actually don't know anything about the plot at all. I've not got a clue. All I know is that the characters are really quite morally grey. You're not necessarily always agreeing with what they're doing or saying, but I quite like that because I think sometimes that leads to really good writing. But no, I'm just really excited for this. I've heard that his humour is incredible and that he'll have me in stitches. I'm sure he will. I've heard that book one, The Blade itself, is a little bit slower. There's not really much reveal as in terms of plot, and then it becomes more sort of interview in book two and the final book, but nevertheless I'm really excited to get into this series, and then if I can get to it, depending on how my other reads go, because they are quite chunky, I will hopefully get to book two in this series as well. I'm also going to mention book three in the Bound of the Broken series by Ryan Kyle, which is Of War and Ruin. I'm currently starting it sort of 3/4 of the way through January. It's an absolutely massive book. It's bigger than my head. It's over 1,000 pages. So I'm going to include that as a little potential on the February TBR as well, because I can't guarantee that I will be finishing it in January. I would love to say that I could read it that quickly, but I guess it's highly unlikely because it's absolutely enormous. So that could also be part of my February TBR/wrap up. So yeah, those are all the books that I'm hoping to get to in February 2025. Do we share any of the same books? What are you going to be reading in February, or have you not decided because you try not to overplan things like I do? Yeah, I know, maybe I should just go with the flow a bit more, but I love it. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment down below if you would like to, like the video. If you can, I'd be really grateful, and I hope you have a lovely day.